What's going on, everyone? Steven, the Salon Guy here, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to cut bangs with a razor. So, if you're a consumer watching this, attempting to cut your bangs yourself, the reason you would use a razor is if you probably have thicker hair and you want a little bit more texture and you don't want something so straight across or so blunt. I personally, if you want to use this, do it at your own risk. This is a professional tool. This is a feather razor, and it's very commonly used by professionals. So, the key is really when you're using a razor is that, you don't want to overdo it, because if you don't know what you're doing, you could literally scrape off so much hair, even as a professional. And if you're scraping off too much hair, that's going to leave the hair very, very fine or very wispy. So you have to make sure you have a good reason to use something like this. So I'm going to show you guys how to cut bangs with the razor. Let's get started. So anytime you're cutting any sort of fringe or any sort of bangs, you want to make sure that you understand how long they're going to be and what kind of effect it's going to have with the rest of the haircut. Very, very, very important. So for example, this hair is a bit on the finer side. So if you take a lot of hair from the back or the top over here, we're going way back to the top center back of the head, which that means that they're going to be on the thicker side, right? As you can see here. So I'm taking it from way back here. If you only want, a smaller kind of section, you don't want them as thick or as heavy, again, you got to make sure it's working into the style. Then you take, a much narrower section here like this. I like to take a triangle section just because it looks a lot more natural. Sometimes, you may not want a straight harsh line when you're sectioning your hair. So what we can do is we can take a section that's a bit more of the smaller side into here. The key is really understanding why you're using a razor, all right? Again, this is a feather razor, and once you have the section in place, there's a few different things you need to know. So a razor, because it's obviously a sharp tool, will glide the hair. Once you glide on the hair, it'll pretty much cut it off fairly easily. You want to make sure it's obviously a sharp blade, but it will cut the hair relatively easy. So what I like to do is I like to start right on the corner here and work my way around this way. Another option is you can start right in the front here. If you cut this too short and leave this too long, this could really impact everything. So that's when you may start in the center. So again, it really depends on the type of look that you want. So for this particular piece right here, let's start in the front. So what I like to do is I like to comb the hair down like so. And again, I do sell these combs on my website, all right, shop.thesalonguy.com. These are the combs that I use. So I like to take a section like this, the full section. And I don't take the hair in the comb. I usually just grab it like this. And now, if you find the length that you actually would like, you don't ever want to cut it to that, because it's going to end up being way too short. So what I do is I'll extend it down a bit, because the hair is going to jump up, especially when it's wet. And you also want to hold the hair a bit tight too. So let's go about right here, and you'll see what's going to happen. All right, so as you can see, what this did is it actually created a much wispier, softer edge. So now what we'll do is we'll use that as our guide. Then I'll take another piece right here. I'll put my finger straight down, and I'm going to cut straight across like that. And then if there's any little pieces, little edges, you can go across like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to work our way down to the very, very corner. Again, keeping in mind that we want to be very, very careful that we don't cut the corners too short, and that we're making sure that this will work into something. So we're going to cut these basically straight across for the most part. All right, now let's see what we got here. So again, it's a bit normal to have some longer pieces, but once you have the established length, what this will do is it'll create a much more softer look. So see what we've done? Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Let's turn the head this way a bit, so we get a nice angle into here. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to pick up right in the center where I left off, you want to take a piece that you could see the previous guide or the previous section you cut in the middle, and we're going to continue to work our shape this way. Now, the whole point of cutting bangs with a razor obviously is to make it a bit more of a jagged edge. So you're never going to see a true, real solid straight line, which is why I think a lot of people do this. Also, when you're cutting the bangs with a fringe, you want to make sure you are pulling down a bit to get that tension. And again, this is from my experience. The tension will actually help the hair come off from the razor much easier. All right, so now we have our fringe, and now I'm just going to go back and stand on the other side. And if you're a stylist doing this, you want to make sure that you're standing directly in front of where you're cutting. Very, very, very important. All right. Now what's going to happen is, as you watch this, as we shake the hair like that, see how it's springing up already? That's why it's best to leave it a bit longer. So let's blow dry this and see what it looks like. All right, so as you can see, even though it appears as a straight line, which is good because we want to have some consistency with the haircut or the bang area, what you can do is you notice that it's a bit wispier on the ends and through here. So it's creating some texture. Now, here's the thing. If you look at this and you say, you know what, it's still a bit too heavy for me, I want to soften it up a little bit, by using the razor, it allows you to remove some excess weight, all right? So what I like to do is I'll take a big chunk of hair right in through here. Let's turn the head so you can see a bit better. So I'm going to take a relatively thicker chunk of hair because this way you're actually feeling all that weight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to scrape on that top layer to remove some of that weight. And I'm not doing it up here, I'm doing it more down here where it's heaviest. And that's what's really going to help soften this up down through here. And you're also creating a bit, some layers as well, because we are scraping off and removing some hair, but we're also getting some texture. So the good thing that when the hair is dry, it's going to basically feel its thickest. And that's why I like to do this technique when the hair is a bit dry. Because once you grab that big kind of section of hair, you could really feel how thick the hair is. So there we go. So now we've softened it up a little bit, and I can already see the texture coming in through here, right? And then if you want even more, just go in at the ends. Go in at the very, very ends, and again, start to kind of notch into it. And what that's going to do, again, it's going to split up those ends, and also you can bring up the length a little bit too. That's what's great about the razor, is that it's a little bit more forgiving than just scissors, but you do need to take your time with it and also be very consistent with what you're doing. But again, it does allow you to remove some weight and to have a bit more of a softer kind of finish to it, and that's what I like. And once again, I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to leave some comments below. Let me know if this, you found this video helpful, if you learned something, if you're a professional, if you're not a professional. Again, I would say do this with at risk, your own risk, if you're not a professional stylist. And even if you are, if you've never used a tool like this before, practice on a mannequin. Don't cut them too short. Take your time with it, especially if you're working on clients. All right, you want to be careful you're not cutting yourself, and you want to be careful that you're not taking off too much hair. So let me know if you found this video helpful and if you used this and did a good job. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell notification so you're notified of when my videos go live. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for more videos with the Salon Guy.